Hello everyone, Gary Warsman here, former police officer and former acting sergeant. I'm going to show you a really important email that I've received today and shows that Dorset Police should no longer be involved in this. Okay, let me show you the email and then talk you through it. Okay, so bearing in mind we have what I suspect are forged bank documents, and everything suggests they are produced by the bank themselves. That is extremely significant because you could be talking hundreds of thousands of victims of fraud. If those documents are being produced by the bank, it is extremely significant. You could be talking billions of pounds worth of fraud. Okay, so this is an email I received today, 12:02 on Wednesday the 27th of September. It's from an official Dorset Police email address at dorset.pnn.policeuk, and this is an email from a sergeant on the fraud triage team. Okay, I'm not going to name them, and this is the same sergeant, okay, that I had been told in an email had personally identified fraud with the information that I'd supplied to Dorset Police, okay? I was then told by this sergeant, by their colleague the very next day, there was no fraud, it was not being investigated. A little while after, on the 9th of August, I believe, I spoke to this sergeant, and they would not confirm or deny if they had identified fraud, even though I had an email saying they personally had. Now, in this email, you'll see the sergeant has not addressed that in any way, shape or form, even though I've asked them to confirm this repeatedly. This is very significant. They are avoiding answering that question. But the sergeant has tried to answer the other significant question about the possible immunity of being given to bank staff to produce these fake documents. Sorry. Now I'm going to read it to you. Okay, so this under here, it's the sergeant from the Professional Standards Department. I kept saying Professional Services on the last video. It's not. Professional Standards Department, that's the sergeant's name, has asked that I make contact with you to answer your query regarding evidence from the banks and to inform you in writing about my review. In relation to the review that I completed and updated you over the telephone, this is my summary. An allegation of fraud was reported to the police and reasonable lines of inquiry were completed by the IRC team. I'm not too sure what that means. Now, reasonable inquiries, when we're starting to consider how, obviously I was a former police officer, when we're starting to consider that there could be a huge fraud offence here, reasonable lines of inquiry should be, bearing in mind I've told them that these documents came from a management company, and that management company has provided writing and confirmation that they received those documents from the bank itself. Okay? They should be spoken to, and a statement should be obtained from the management company confirming that those documents were sent to them from the bank. Okay? You need to provide continuity of these documents. Okay? I then have provided continuity with my statement of getting them from the management company and giving them to the police. Okay? That's a reasonable line of inquiry for something this potentially significant. I don't know if they've done that. If they had have done that, it would have led them to what it's led me to. Right? They have significant information, lots of inquiries that don't even necessarily need to be done. You need basic statement from the management company, statement from me, statement from the bank, and then some interviews potentially to prove fraudulent documents produced by the bank itself. Okay, I'll go on anyway. It was then submitted to me for a second review, and further inquiries were completed by the FTT. Don't know who they are. I completed the final review, and at this stage there was not enough evidence to continue with the investigation. Now, I have pointed out significant evidence that suggests there's serious fraud, and they have discontinued the investigation. Now, I'll do another video about a significant transaction that Dorset Police are aware of that in itself shows that false accounts exist, or that undisclosed accounts exist and haven't been reported to us. Either way, it's significant. It's a line of inquiry that should have been pursued. I assessed this with the investigation, just reading on, was unlikely to reach the evidential threshold consideration of a charge at a later stage. This information was passed to the Professional Standards Complaint Department for their investigation and contact with you. I've been asked to clarify, now this is very important, listen to this please. I've been asked to clarify some information with you regarding your allegation of fraud. In particular, this was surrounding when banks provide evidential statements. This is dependent on the individual case in hand. Now, this case that they are fully aware of is, or could be, so significant, it's obviously an unusual case. You have a former police officer that has information suggesting the bank itself has produced these documents that are forged, it could be absolutely astronomical to the public. It could literally be affecting the cost of living for everyone in this country. This is dependent on the individual case. If a case is to be heard at court, then it will be determined by the Crown Prosecution Service whether the banks need to produce a statement in evidence for the court, or whether a police officer can write a statement to evidence any material obtained from the banks. Now, if you look at this, if a case is to be heard at court, then you won't know that it's going to be heard at court until you get a statement from the bank. You'd need a statement from the bank to show to the Crown Prosecution Service to determine whether it goes to court. It's explaining a loophole in the system. You've got a fake document. The normal producer of an authentic document would need to do a witness statement, evidential statement, saying, we have seen these documents, okay, that have been provided to Dorset Police by Gary Waterman, and we can confirm that they are not authentic. We've checked our records. It's a small statement. I've explained this. The Crown Prosecution then would make the decision, and they would need that to make that decision for it to go to court. Okay, it's a loophole. This has not made me feel any more comfortable, even less comfortable about this whole situation. I go on. If a case to be heard at Crown Court, then it will be determined by the Crown Prosecution Service whether the banks need to produce a statement in evidence for the court, or whether a police officer can write a statement to evidence any material obtained from the banks. Both is acceptable. Okay, and normal procedure for investigation. It's not normal practice to obtain statements from the banks prior to charge. This is not a normal situation. This could be absolutely huge. They should be looking at what is in the interest of the public, not of what is interest in the banks. Now, I know this is a difficult situation for them because this could be so significant, but moral integrity insists that we look at how the masses are being affected by potential fraud. Okay, this is not a normal situation. Okay, that's how they should be looking at it. And the sergeant just said it is not normal. Well, yes, but this isn't normal. You need to get a statement from the bank. All right? Unfortunately, sod what happens to the bank. The people are what matter. I've then gone on to say, I hope this answers your questions. Now, this shows Dorset Police should not be dealing with this matter. It needs to go higher. It needs to go to the government to look at this. They need to provide a public statement, a public address in relation to this as soon as possible. This isn't going to go away. It can't, because the people are what matter, and the people could be being affected. I know I keep going on about this, but that's what matters. Right? We'll deal with whatever repercussions happen as a result of these bank documents, but the people must be the priority in this. All right? And it looks like they're not being prioritised. Come on. Thank you very much for listening. Also, I'd just like to say, in relation to my last video from one government official, hopefully you can look at my last video, I also forgot to mention that in that letter they state that they cannot become involved in an active situation, so an active investigation with the police. This confirms it has been filed. There is no further action. I'd already been told that on the 9th of August when I spoke to this sergeant. Okay, so therefore the government can intervene in relation to this, and they need to and must intervene and provide the public with information. God bless you all. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.